NFL.com put out their power rankings. Now, if you think power rankings a month before the season are preposterous, fair enough. I would probably concede that point to you.
I wrote down a list of 13 teams that I can make an argument are better than the Cowboys.
Okay.
So I have 13. Is that close to where they are?
Yes, that is exactly so.
Oh, interesting.
All right, so NFL power rankings, the Cowboys are 14th. So I wanted to run through these teams and where, 877-881-1053, where would you have the Cowboys in your personal power rankings? I want to run through each one of these teams. Do we need to have a discussion, or are you just like, oh yeah, they're definitely better? Or do you want to stop down and be like, no chance in hell?
Well, I'm going to hold this up, Kevin. Without even seeing this list, these are the 13 teams that I had on my list. So
Okay.
I just want to make that very clear that I had
Can the
these.
camera see that?
Can you zoom in on the camera for twitch.tv/DallasFanCam? And almost there, getting closer, better. All right, look at this, man. This is great. All right, so that's my 13 teams that I have there before this.
Now, at the top of this list, I'm probably going to concede a lot of these fairly quickly. Number one on the list, the Buffalo Bills.
That's who I have number one on my list.
Fair enough. We all in agreement?
I don't know.
Mike!
They've never won a Super Bowl.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Do they have a general manager who's in the Hall of Fame for general managing?
You know what, Mike? I really want you to be part of this. You know damn well.
All right, I'll concede,
Okay.
even though it's maybe 51-49,
Okay.
that the Bills might be better
You know what?
this year.
I will accept that all of these at the top could be 51-49. Second, the reigning, defending world champions, the Los Angeles Rams.
Stafford's elbow's hurt.
You know what? Actually, and we've talked about that. I think that's interesting. That would be the only scenario in which they were like, you know what? He's done for the year. Then I'm like, well, hold on just a damn minute.
Except their coach took Jared Goff to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
So I'll
that's
concede.
a good
I'll
point.
concede just barely.
Okay.
51-49 the Rams.
I did, by the way, I didn't put this in order. I went by divisions, so I just took the teams
Okay.
out of each division based on the standings. So, yes, I do have the Niners as one of my 13 teams.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers roll in at number 3 on the list.
Also that one.
I thought you said they only have like a 12% chance of winning opening night.
Hey,
Cowboys
ESPN
defensive line's going to run
Analytics
right through them.
says 38% they'll win on opening night. They're losing offensive linemen left and right, but clearly Tampa Bay.
And Brady's not at practice today for personal non-football
What do you mean?
reasons.
Ooh, it's Tom Brady. Who cares?
He ate a strawberry.
He could sleep for the rest of the offseason and show up 5 minutes before the game, and I'd be like, he'll probably be good.
He lost his Gronk. Let's see what that does to him.
Okay, well, I will go
I'll
ahead.
concede
Okay.
51-49, even though the analytics say we're better than them.
Now, that's true.
Analytics guy, Mike.
San Francisco 49ers.
I got the Niners on here, too. They beat us in the playoffs.
Rookie quarterback. Never seen him play.
Well,
Yeah.
Shanahan said yesterday he's not heard about a trade for Garoppolo. He was like, I've not heard about a trade from Garoppolo, so maybe Garoppolo's still their guy.
I'll concede they barely beat us. If the refs wouldn't have ruined the game, we would have won, but it was the refs' fault.
What do you think about the people who believe that Trey Lance is going to struggle because of his arm angle releasing the ball? That has been like one of the big observations in camp is, and I realize it's not like full run of play and everything, but some people don't like the arm angle at which the ball is coming out.
Phillip Rivers had like a 15-year career throwing from his hip. So I'm going to say as long and look at Mahomes, his arm angle's all over the place. So
not a concern?
I'm not concerned.
It'll be interesting because I do think that they're going to run a whole bunch of kind of read option stuff. It's going to be, I think, a very Baltimore Ravens-like.
I mean, they still have Brandon Ayuk.
He can
who's
chuck it
awesome.
downfield.
Yeah,
I know he can chuck it downfield.
And I think Lamar Jackson can too. It's just a matter of how quick can they trust that he's going to accurately throw the ball.
Good.
Will Deebo Samuel be distracted at all by his new beef with Jake Paul for sliding into Jake Paul's girlfriend's DMs, allegedly?
Maybe.
Yeah, Jake
Paul he gets a lot of chaos going.
I believe it's Jake Paul is making quite the show about this on social media.
So I've conceded on 4. Is that correct?
I have conceded on 4 as well.
All right.
The Cincinnati Bengals.
I got the Bengals.
It's the Bengals.
All right.
They have a better offense than the Cowboys.
We won 2 more games than them. Until the playoffs started.
I do actually really want to talk about this. I know everything about this Bengals team feels like it's going to be different, but in the history of the Cincinnati Bengals, they have never had sustained success. Yeah. Is this the time?
the reason I say yes is they were a winning franchise with Andy Dalton. They couldn't win it all in the playoffs, but they made the playoffs. I would say 50% of the time, if I'm right about Andy Dalton's career, is Joe Burrow's a top 5 quarterback in this league. He literally, in the second year of his, NFL career, after blowing out his knee in his first year, took the team to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that they're going to win it, but I do think that when you have arguably the best quarterback in the NFL, and I think he's in that conversation going into this year, could he be the best quarterback in 2022? Yes, I think he could. I'm not going to bet on him doing it, but I bet he's going to be top 5. And because they have a top 5 quarterback, unfortunately, they're better than us.
Kevin, you said never had sustainability. They lost the wild card 5 straight years in a row. All right, so they were in the wild card 5 straight years in a row.
If we could only do that.
Last year, exactly. Be in the playoffs 5 straight years would be awesome. Last year, 7th in points in the NFL, 13th in yards on offense. Defense, 17th, 18th. So defense needs to be better.
That does not sound like a Super Bowl team.
But their offense was clutch at the right time.
Sure.
And that's what mattered in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that's what matters with this team. They have a better offense than I think the Cowboys do.
And I do not count losing 5 straight wild card games as sustained success.
And now they're going to the Siegfried and Royd helmets. The white Tigers.
Yes. Yeah, man, I'm really excited about those. Those are going to look sharp.
Since you mentioned the quarterbacks, the next 2 on the list, 6 and 7, Green Bay and Kansas City.
Got both of those?
I'll concede.
Okay. Now it's starting to get interesting. Number 8 on the NFL.com power rankings list. Are all these teams really better than the Dallas Cowboys? The Denver Broncos.
I got them on there.
I think it's up in the air.
I
know I should say something. We're on radio, but I was just thinking, I do lean towards the Broncos, but here's where I lean towards the Cowboys. This is where I'm contradicting myself here. The Cowboys have a much better chance to me of winning their division and getting in the playoffs than the Broncos do.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned Kansas City. I know you haven't mentioned the Chargers yet. I know you haven't mentioned the Raiders yet, but what a tough competitive division where we're in the crap division.
Yeah.
Where we have 2 really bad teams and then 1 team we're competing against.
I did base this off the fact that the Cowboys played them last year without Russell Wilson.
They got smoked
and lost. So that's why I went ahead.
Fair.
You know what? You're right, Mike. This year it could be different.
Just because we essentially lost that game 30-0. Don't worry about it.
All right. Who's next?
All right. Next on the list, the Los Angeles Chargers.
I didn't put them on here.
We beat them last year.
I put the Raiders up on them and not the Chargers.
Oh.
So, but I do think the quarterback's better, and I think their defense is going to be better. But I want, just like Mike said, we did figure out how to beat them last year. So at this point, I'm going to go with we're the better team still.
No sarcasm. I have said that Justin Herbert is my betting. I would bet on him to win the MVP. Yeah. And if I'm betting on him to win the MVP, I'm going to also bet that they're better than the Cowboys.
Okay. Now we get to 2 more interesting teams, and you just mentioned having one of them on your list, Corey. The Ravens and the Raiders. Are the Ravens and the Raiders both better than the Cowboys? Because I think right now I've got Broncos, Ravens, and Raiders all in the category with the Cowboys of I could listen to arguments pivoting it either way.
Like I said, I had 13 teams I can make an argument for, and the Raiders and Ravens are both on that list. I'm not saying that I think that Lamar Jackson is a better quarterback than Dak, but I do think that their franchise is built to win a lot of games in the regular season and be competitive in the playoffs. The Cowboys have shown that they are built to take advantage of a really poor division and hopefully do something in the playoffs. So there's a lot of fingers crossed when it comes to that.
I think you could argue those teams.
Okay.
It's a toss-up.
I think that might be my cutoff then, and then I would slide the Cowboys into the 12th spot, or I would certainly be willing to listen to 10 to 12. Like, that's kind of where I see it. But if
you're not, the Philadelphia Eagles are...
I'm going to put us just ahead of the Philadelphia Eagles, and we still got just a second before we get to them. But these next 2 teams, I'm putting the Cowboys ahead of both of these next 2 teams, the Colts and the Saints. Now, we had a lot of discussion.
I got the Colts.
About the Saints. Your quarterback is better than their quarterback. Matt Ryan has not been particularly good in about 4 years, or been really good in 4 years. I don't think he's got it anymore. Now they have a far superior running back, certainly, and they also play in the worst division in football. Like, that's an advantage that the Colts have. Like that might be the only team on this list where you can say, well, they definitively, or at least ahead of the Cowboys, they definitively have a worse division than the Cowboys. But I do not believe right now the Colts or Saints are better than the Cowboys.
Well, when they match up in the Super Bowl, Kevin, we'll find out. As far as
that'd be great.
As far as the Saints, I agree. I don't think they're better than the Cowboys. I think that the Cowboys are a better overall team, and the Cowboys did beat them last year. Now, Jameis Winston obviously not there, but I don't think Jameis Winston is the difference maker for that team. I think they have a lot of work to do.
And this is from NFL.com. So
correct.
They're not feeling the Cowboys right now going into the season, are they?
They are not.
Maybe I'm sleeping on the Saints. Am I wrong for just kind of feeling like they're
besides Tampa, they have Carolina and Atlanta, which if you do what the Cowboys did last year, if you rack up 4 wins right there, you go 2-0, 2-0, and you split with Tampa, which would be tough, but let's say all of a sudden you're at 5-1. This is how the Cowboys had a good record last year. Because think about it. You take out the 6-0, and what were they? They were 6-5 against the rest of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
If you can take advantage of a weak division, that's the Cowboys path to the playoffs this year. And maybe for the Saints, I don't think it'll happen, but if you go 5-1 in your division and figure out how to win 5 other games in the rest of your schedule, you've won 10 games and you probably are a wild card team.
I made arguments too, Kevin, for the Titans and Cardinals. So I have it at that. That's where I have it.
And so the Cowboys and Eagles are next. So the Cowboys are 14 and the Eagles are 15, just to go to the nature of how competitive we think this division will be, but also think about how low that is in the list.
They put them in the average category.
The first 2 teams from this division pop up at 14 and 15. And then the Titans, Cardinals, Patriots down at 18, Dolphins at 19, and Minnesota at 20. And you think about it, though. You think about high expectations for the Dolphins, high expectations for the Cardinals, for the Patriots, for the Cowboys, for the Eagles, for maybe the Colts, the Saints. Some of these teams are going to fall. Like not all of these teams are going to make the playoffs. So when we talk about where these teams fit, will the Cowboys be one of those teams that fall by the wayside?